Hi everybody, my name is Jess, your Street Fighter bestie, and we are taking a look at all of the choreo drafts, uncuts, for Street Woman Fighter Vietnam. Now, I am making this intro after the fact because I originally thought this video was only going to have the leader class, but upon watching, you'll see me react and go, huh? I didn't know that it was more than just leaders, which is really cool, so that's why I'm remaking the intro. And I also wanted to let you know I put my own choreography in the mix here for the sub leader, so you get to see me be constructive and give direct feedback to my own work, and you can kind of get a little behind the scenes on that too while I look at all of the different rankings. So I'm excited for you to join with me. Let's go ahead and check it out.
The leaders.
I like how she ticked it. I don't mind it as much here. Yeah, the dynamics were nice. Okay, it's interesting that they put like gold next to it. All right, let's talk about it. Oh, they don't have it itemized. Ah, that is something that I did like about the Korean version, is that they had them all like separated. Oh, they kind of do. Oh my God, is this all of them? Oh, I'm excited now. I had no idea there was all of them. Okay, here we go. From the top. Fever. Nice. So all this is just like what we've seen. We're very familiar with this one, right? So we tap it around the head. That's fine. The ticking up is fine, but also for me, what I've learned whenever you do choose to do an interruption on a flow like that is making sure that it has a very clear start and finish. It kind of felt like it got muddled and caught in the second, like in the middle line of that, which is, it's fine. Fever. So she doubles it up. Mo. I really like the dynamic change on that. I can see why this one was a contender when you see it as an uncut, for sure. It looks nice. Then you have some subtlety, and like that part was also fine, but also what I found interesting is she isolated it to where there was no groove in that motion. Now remember, with the groove, it originates in the torso, specifically in the upper, in the chest, and the shoulders, and you have your core and your hips that help in the support of that. So whenever, at least that's pertaining to specifically to like the funk genres, popping especially. So with this there, that flow, it was interesting how isolated it was. I don't know if that was just because that's how she had it, but even there, she drops low, nothing crazy there. The throw, the dig through, dun dun dun, is fine. The drag through, little Ranajam through, and then the dig. I like the contrast of levels, it's nice. But even here, it does carry more of a simplistic perspective, but I do like the ebb and the flow of it. It's nice. That's nice too. It's super fun. Fever, little toe taps, which is nice. Oh no, and then the dip on that. I really like that part, which is cool. I still feel like this part is very interesting to me. The little tap over. It's like, no, sorry, not that. And that was a little, what is it called? A little bust down, which is nice. This part, it's so stiff in the upper body for what I'm used to seeing. For that, I'm normally used to seeing like a heavy hinge on the back. So that would be my big note for that. And then we go body roll up. Boom, we're there. Nice and fine. I mean, I think this one, I can see why it was a contender, but with how they select and who gets it, the whole logistics of the dance rank mission, picking a main dancer versus who gets to direct are so different skill sets. And so would she have done a good job directing the leader to where it would be this like super incredible, heavily dynamic kind of set like what we saw from Ko? Maybe, or maybe not. We will never know. But based off of this, I can see it swing either way, because when you look at Oops's choreo, it has a lot of similarities to it in how the pocket and how the posture was presented. So I find it interesting. Here we go. Fever. A little guada guada on that. Double up is fine. I like her flow. It's nice. So it's not as feminine is how it was appearing the first time we watched it. I think some of her choices overlap with salad, so I can see the desire of picking salads because it has a more like, what is it? This one does have a more feminine pocket too. Like some of her choices, you switch them out and it would have been fine, honestly. But this one also has a simplicity behind it too. So that's my kicker in all this is that, I mean, we're gonna look at all of them. There's so far with all the ones that I had seen just in the cuts, not really any of them gave this like heavily complex composition to where it would be like, we're representing the leaders. You know, I feel like there's like a common middle ground you can explore, but I do feel like we are catering a little bit more towards even grooves on both sides, hitting just hitting the whole counts and half counts. You know, at best, we're not really like creating these like interruptions in our stuff as much. So that would be my general note so far. I'm curious if I'm going to still feel that way at the end of the leaders. We'll see. But little body rolls, little totes, little heel digs is fine. Little, you know, we're hot. That's fine. Body roll, F.E.D. And then right here, this is a guada guada setup. And then she extends the hands up. No, that's fine. Presenting out, reset. And then that right here, I loved how she did that. That was so filthy. Like, that's filthy. Love it. A little tap there. But hers feels simpler than Salad's, if I'm being honest. Like, I wouldn't know that I could trust her with movement direction if I was just looking at this choreography here, just like I would feel about Salad, just like I'd feel about Oop. So that's a big thing too, is like a lot of what they're coming in at this on is how well do they know each other enough to know who can handle movement direction. And I know F.E.D's got experience, but what if I didn't know that going in? Like, that's my kicker in all this too. And then that part's fine with the ISO on the arm with the little overhead. I mean, it's fine. It's totally fine. All of these are totally fine. Yeah, when the hitting it over is fine. Doing it 2 times over to the side. A brush, and but she ends up doing the same thing. So for me, it's starting to become overly predictable, or it feels like we're just, I don't know, that felt like a placeholder, like we didn't know what to do, so we're doing the same thing that we've already done. So you want to avoid that, in my personal opinion, of if in your course you've already repeated a pocket, or not pocket, but repeated a movement sequence. I think we could have figured out if she is already repeating here, are we going to have more redundant choreo in the future? Remember, I'm coming at it from the lens of, yes, I know F.E.D can hold it down on the direction. They know that too, but what if we did not know that? That would be something for me indication wise, if she's not able to be creative in how she's just taken this excerpt, how can I see her be creative with formations and staging and spacing and how we use the space, you know? So your choreo is a reflection of that to some degree, not always, but to some, you know? Lovely there. And this is a rough draft. We all know this, super rough draft, nothing crazy. Little heel toe heels, nice. And also looked like she was marking it too, which, I mean, at the end of the day, these right here, even Bada's, when you saw her rough draft, it wasn't the most refined. You would want to see some of these choices, like when everybody learns it, how would it change, you know, but we don't have the privilege of that. Everybody learning and that's the downside, but I digress. There's nothing crazy about that, and it's not as feminine as I was expecting it to be either. I like some of her choices. Like, I like that a lot. But her beginning was very feminine for the pocket. That's also nice. And some of her choices do feel like we're throwing in, we're trying to hit a certain part of the music, but it ain't hitting. You know, like we're either rushing it or, does that make sense? But it's also rough draft. I mean, here's the thing. When we get to the sub leaders, yes, I'm pulling up my demo and we're going to roast it too, just like all of these. I am of no exception, because that's the beauty of having a choreo with Jess, is you can do that. Okay. From the top of hers, oh man, okay. Here we go. It's so fun. We get to see everybody's. Okay. Viva. Now this right here, I like the little pickup and the scuff going on with the leg. Love that. And I like how she draws it across the face. da da da, which is fine. For me, that would be good if everybody made their own pose. That love, no, nice. Fever. How she's hitting, so like I actually like where she's choosing in the music, where she's hitting in her movement quality. However, I think the actual movements are too feminine. But I like where she's choosing to ride the track. So her musicality is great. Probably my favorite musicality so far. Da-da-da. Now with the chest, I mean, it's cute, but once again, it's more of a feminine posture. Part of me wonders what would happen if we had Check and we had Envy choreographed to Criminal. Like, I really feel like that's more of their posture going in. And also keep in mind too, like Bada's bread and butter for like the track Smoke was not a, what's the word? It wasn't an out of genre track that she's not used to working with. That is her bread and butter type of track, you know? So if you've looked at her track record up until that point, she has a masculine pocket that makes it so freaking sick when she choreographs the boy groups. That's why her choreo works the way that it does on boy group choreo. Now she can still do girl group stuff too, but does that make sense? Like, that's why, like, you don't see like a heavy feminine posture coming out of Bada as often as you notice from Envy and Check. But this track is more of like that Bada realm, you know? So that's why I see this kind of circulating the way that it does, which is why it may not fit that way, which is totally fine. Yeah, da-da-da-da-da, like this, I think we were doing even on both sides, but he doesn't evenly do the da-da-da-da-da-da-da, he doesn't do that, he goes da-da-da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da, like I would slow down the points for that to match if you're going on the syllables. Yeah, that's my big thing. Da 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 da. Like if we're gonna be clear there, I don't know if she was going off of that or going off of. Yeah, so no, she's mouthing the words, so I think she was going on that. So that's my note there. That's why that didn't read as well to me, because we did too many for what sound she was going for. Now this part, the little body roll was cool. She has great ISOs, honestly. The accent boom, that cool. Fever. Now this part, it's not my favorite cup of tea, but it's something I can get over. That's fine. This right here, I love this. The step out, she goes heel, and then she inverts it, which is nice. Fever. So she ends up doing it twice. I would have varied it up the second time. It's just same thing as she's already kind of done. That part's fine. It does remind me of Bada's what is it, that little and I've also seen, was it Jonathan Cison, I think I saw him do it first, but it doesn't mean he owns it. I just, in my dance career history of learning choreo, that little heel toe, boom boom boom, different arms of course, but that is such a vibe. It really is. And it is properly placed here. Like, it works. And then how she's hitting it is also nice. I do think, like, some of the groove in her upper body would be really helpful on this. But then also, it's the third time we've done this, too. So that would be my thing, is vary it up. And it still doesn't match any time that she's done it 100% of the way. The finish was super fun. I like that. Here we go. Little guada guada. So we're all taking like a subtle afro approach to it. I can see why, because it's that syncopation in the back. It's fine. She doesn't have groove in it, and that's why it feels so stiff, because it is stiff. The movements themselves are not bad. They're about on par as Salad, but Salad had more groove, which is why it looked different. Does that make sense? So watch this part. Fever. If she added a little body roll there, it would look completely different. And she's also having extra tension in her shoulders. It'll switch up. It is very, very simplistic, and because you had her in the main dancer slot, it gave the impression that it was simplistic. And then you also ran into the problem of it was very basic formations and changes, and so it was underwhelming in the sense of like the lack of groove for a track like this really will work against you, just like an overly feminine pocket can work against you and not making it match as well. Fever. I like how low she went. That was nice. That was a cool ISO. If we were able to see the groove in the upper body and then transferring it down to making it a focal point in the hips would have really made it look nice. So, little brush is fine. Now that part there, it wasn't clear on her angles near the tail end, but the first half I can kind of see what she was going for, and that's the kicker for me. Remember, I've put angles in my own work, so we're gonna be talking about that too. I have some notes on me, which it's kind of fun that I get to put myself under the line of fire too, to let you guys know I'm not exempt from this. I haven't technically done a just roast yet, so we're going to get into that. But all these little angles, you want them to be clear, make sense, just like you want your flow when you do waving to have follow through and have a sense of completion. That didn't feel quite as complete, if that makes sense. That right there, where was the origination of that body roll? It didn't. Most of the time it comes from the hips. From there, we don't know where it comes from, so it feels unclear. So it caught me off guard, not in a good way. Yeah, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. That part there, because she's so stiff, there was no fullness in that back as she lifts it. The little hit there, because she isolated from the hips up. This upper body was doing something, the lower body was doing something different. Yes, it's a polyrhythm, but it wasn't a polyrhythm that was complementary to each other. Yeah, that was fine. Right here, right there, that would have been perfect for a body roll or something with the hips, and it's just a little baby shimmy, which is fine. A little Charleston energy there, maybe. Now, were we trying to go for a network? It wasn't a network into a guada guada, but the guada guada was also incomplete. So that's my thing there too, is if you're going to integrate other cultural dances, you have to make sure you adopt the posture that comes with it. That was my case with Latrice. I made it a whole thing because I heard that Redelique had said some stuff about, you know, I don't know, it was a... My point there was that Latrice had an advantage because her movement quality was implicitly in the cultural dance that she chose to do, and they picked her choreo as well. So it's like, there's no excuse if Latrice is gonna beat you because your body's not as developed in the sense of getting it to the grooves you need it to do. You can learn it. It takes time though. So for me here, that's what's not landing on this choreo, is it could work if you had the groove to back it, and we don't. So that's why for me, this would be an easy to steal choreo if she continued to dance it like this, but I would add my own groove to it because that would be the culturally appropriate thing to do. If you're gonna pull a network, which is what I thought she was about to do with how she did the weight shifts, there was no network to be seen. Network was lost. But into a guada guada, that's why I think in sequence it felt that way, but even her guada guada didn't have any groove in it. It was just a courtesy move. And so that's why I think it's important to know this would be a stealable routine to me if I was in the room. Yeah, fever there too. Once again, incomplete in her reset. That little no. And that right there, I did feel like we were going for a little bedrock action, but it's just none of her stuff has full completion. Pulse on the chest. Ba-na-na-na-na. They're not quite clear on those choices. It's about as unclear as Envy's was for this, but hers had more direction and flow in her choices and the switch up. So this is why, that's a prime example as to why being a main dancer, I still stand by Oops took main dancer. She did it the best out of the four that we saw without having uncuts. Like if we had an uncut on this, we can have a different conversation. We can really look and analyze it, go down nook and crannies, because I know there was some interesting thoughts we all shared in the sub leader one specifically between Chloe and Co. So but yeah, I think it's so interesting. I do think Oops took main dancer. Should she have been in charge of the video? Based on the choreography given here, no, I don't feel that way. For me, at this point, before we're watching so far, I said this one was the one that I would have picked out of them all. And because it does simulate similarly in relationship to the track, the way Bodice did to Smoke. And that's what's going on in my head. So I'm curious if I will still feel that way when I get to this. Love that. I love that out of them all. That's still my favorite. Now, do I still think that there's certain pockets or ways that she could have, like, Are there ways that she could have syncopated it slightly differently to make it feel more creative? Yes, but I like the format of that one the best to the track so far. I still feel that way. Oh, man. This right here, a little fever, the step out. She would step, which is fine. Then she goes, brings it back. Notice what she's doing. Look at the use of the chest. That's why it works, how she's sitting in it. And she goes and she drives it over, which is nice, which actually would have matched the concept pretty well. Fever. So we do it the same, but notice she deviates and does something slightly different. A modification, the step with the look, definitely gives some nice conversational elements, makes it tailored to your camera more. The throw is nice, and then you have the body with a nice little jack on that. Tap, 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 which is cool. They hit it back with a little toe tap towards the back. Heel, toe, heel, and bringing it over to the cross back. Nice, with a V-snap. V-step. No, dun, dun, dun. Cool. Nothing crazy there. Using the hips to help promote and push that contrast with the step with the upper body. And the push over with the arms to go. We pick up the legs. Then we got fever, so like the step out. That definitely tailors to a lot of those that have that Afro influence, but because of the syncopation, that ta, 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 like that sound, it's very similar to, like, you could see a lot of Amapiano or Afro movement be integrated on this, which works. Now, and we go take that boom. That was actually kind of cool. I like the gimmick of that, taking the shirt. It gives you direction on like what kind of fit to wear for it, because it's like, oh, you need a baggy shirt so you can hit that, which I find to be really fun. Just like there's a trend going on right now, it's like sipping on Pepsi, sipping on Fanta, like that one, like having a Pepsi and then having a Fanta, and then it's like a really fun little interaction with your friends. And so it's kind of like, I like whenever you have viral trends that have like a little degree of direction, but it's like general direction of having a baggy shirt is going to make it feel better. Just like with Bada having a biker, like a NASCAR racer jacket with her smoke set felt the most right to do for what the context of the shoot looked like, and also what she would wear when she would teach it. So does that make sense? So I think that's what I like about this one also, is because it gives interaction, and I'm low-key wearing like almost the same fit. Yeah, fever, boom, and I like how she goes fever, brush through the phrase, so that was nice. Then it goes no, like with the brush out on that, it's cool. Then we go a little boom, boom, cool. I do think some of our choices are not too bad. Like, they're not, like this right here does remind me, like this over there, similar to, like, I think it was just stickier from Bada when she would do the transition, but I don't mind it on this one. It's definitely more on the basic side, but that was nice stuff. Boom. It's hitting interruptions in the track where it's catching beats, and that's what I like about it too. As you can tell, like, I'm really gung-ho about this one. Super cool with the kick over, and they go reset to the front. And then from a little heel twist, and then bring it around. Cool. Very nice. And then I think we have SS Warriors last. I remember they said they liked this one, but they said it was too hard, so I'm curious. Let's go. Okay, so for that, I would say, like, I understand what they mean about it being too difficult. I do think this one has, like, I like some moments, but the flow is a bit harder to connect, I think, is my thing. This one, I would take some of this and put it in Swfv's, in my honest opinion. I think, like, marrying these two together would be a really cool choice. Right here, fever. I like that, very personalized. It's fun. It's cute. It's definitely like, ooh, nice flow. And then she takes it, brings it up, you hear it right there on the track. She brings it through, no, which is also nice. Then she goes up, boom, this part, fever. Now, I don't know if she's offbeat, onbeat, whatever. It's an audio overlay. Can't confirm it, fever. Now that part, what you do, all it is a body roll. It's an isolated body roll. So you start and you initiate, placing the weight onto that front foot. Knee, boom, travels it up the body, letting the head accent on the bookend, on the pronunciation, like there's an accent in the track that do, like you hear that there, and it goes no, which is nice, and switch, which is nice, and then we swing it on the hips. Hers has a feminine vibe about it, which I can see why some of the other choreographers were tempted by hers. But do I think hers had like I think it had a heavier Afro influence in some of her choices and how she was sitting in it than some of the other ones. But it goes back to, I think the transitions were a bit too neglected for my personal taste, for how it ended up flowing. It makes sense. Great floor. I like the fact there's floor work. That's cool. Showcasing levels. And the switch there, there's some scissors. And she goes, expands it up, which is nice. It goes in, boom, da-doom, doom, doom. So I like the chest on that. And then we were using the hip on that. So it goes chest into a little bit of a hip. A little bit more of a little feminine moment. And she brings it up, click, click. She raises the level up, which is nice. Then she body rolls up again. So I think it's the in-between choices she's making are like heavily stylized to her, which probably could make it feel and give that impression that I feel like they were saying as to why it may feel a little bit difficult to steal, right? Maybe that. And this right here, this is nice. I like her choice. The level's nice. And it goes do. Not quite clear there, but I know what she was going for. It just wasn't clear on the translation on that. And you would want that to be something that's readable, that because it's very readable in sound. So you want it to be readable in movement. The pull, that little no, it's cool. I like her traveling. Also, I know this is a rough draft. That's life. It happens. Hey, I also have rough drafts. And when you teach the choreo, it always looks more clear, readable, digestible, and better. If you look at Bada competing for her choreo versus Bada when she made it initially, it's very different in how she's holding herself. It feels more marked in her rough draft, but it feels more full out. Part of it's the competitive, I gotta get my spot, but also it's sat in her body more effectively, which is cool. This is nice. I love that. Like, I love that groove. That's what I would want in SoFires, was that one. Super cool. And she brings it over. That was nice with the jump is cool. No, totally fine on that. I mean, I feel like having some fixed pointed kind of clarification, I think would have made that feel very, very nice, digestible, easy to feel. The digs is nice. I like her flow on that. Boom, boom, dun, 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 with the flow. Noticing with the wrist is really nice. Taking it over, da 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 da. And this, she fixed points that hand to bring it to her body. So I love that choice. That was fun. She goes da 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 da. Very similar to what she did in the beginning. So it feels like a bookend in the course. Dun 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 dun, which is also fun. Love that. Heading it through with a swing. She says, come on. So for me, I still very much feel out of all of the choreographies, SoFires should have been selected. Part of me is like, okay, the leaders were all like, oh no, like they were all saddened. They knew that the video was not going to be up to par, blah, 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 blah. We have to remember who picked the choreo to compete for the dance rank mission. Y'all did. Y'all selected Salad's choreography. You could have selected SoFires, but you didn't. And so, in my humble opinion, if it's in the position of if you didn't like the fact that Oops took Salad's choreo, you could have done it better, for starters. But of course, we need the uncuts to really verify that. You could have done it better, matched the actual groove of it, and I kind of talked through just some smidgen things between Czech and another girl and how they were sitting in it. But also you have to look at the choreo in and of itself. If you pick Salad or Oops, you ran into a very similar problem. Would Salad have directed it well? I have no idea. Based on the direction of Salad's other challenges, I would say there's not a good chance of it. I would say with SoFire, they have pretty decent direction. I think out of everything, if SoFire was able to do, if they picked hers and she defended it, could it have been better? I don't know. Could Oops still have stolen it? Yeah. But I think stealing SoFires, I think, is harder than stealing Salad's, because like I said, watching Salad and Oops's, the difference is, what I find interesting is that my Oops girl, she had no groove in her own choreo, but she established groove with Salad's during the challenge because she mimicked what she saw, different skill set than choreographing. That's a prime example of that. So part of me is like, I feel for the leaders, but part of me is like, you had 6 choices and you picked who you picked, and this is kind of the cards you were dealt with too. That's my humble opinion on that. We can talk about it respectfully in the comments, but like, yeah, it sucks what happened, but also I still stand by, it doesn't surprise me who got picked for main dancer for what we were shown, but also it surprised me more who they ended up picking for this, more so than who they picked for main dancer. So anyway, moving on to Criminal. Oh, that means I gotta find mine. I feel like I'm a criminal, She has such toned arms. I love that. That was cute. I feel like I'm a criminal. That's cute. We like it. We're here for it. All right, from the top of this. So I do feel like I will be learning this one. I think it's the respectful thing to do too, especially if I did a choreo with Jess. I did that with Jan with Stray Kids. I didn't, yeah, but to where it's like I want to learn hers too, just so I can feel her choices. But I like her choices on this. It looks good even in the rough draft. It's nice. This right here, da-da, ISO, and then she divs it down, and then guess what she does? She takes the energy, it's in the hips. Where does it go? She travels it back up to create a head whip. That is very clear, and it directs me as a viewer who's watching where you want me to watch your focal point. She travels it down, and she transitions the energy up to create a new focal point. It's not random, it's not cut off, and I think that was a lot of things I noticed in the leader choreo. There was a lot of cut off transitions between your movement choices. That right there, I love that, and it bleeds through, and it makes you feel the essence of the wordplay and the essence of what she's doing in movement quality. Yeah, criminal, and I like the slinkiness of the torso on this. Criminal, really nice on that. Swing with the hips is nice. I feel fine. With the brush is nice. Boom, dun, dun. So she's hitting all those snaps very nice and well. Cool. She does give me Jojo Gomez vibes. And I mean that in like how she syncopates. It's that kind of like choreographic direction, which I respect in the niche in which it is, which I think is totally fine. That right there, boom, can't catch me with what is it? I think it's stilettos on. I think when somebody translated it in my comments, which thank you for that, it helped me choreograph better. I think they said still line or something like that, but it didn't translate to stiletto. That I do think it's can't catch me with my stilettos on, I think is what she was saying. With the brush, swing, with the hip to match on that, yep. With a boom, boom, which is nice, boom, boom, boom. Yeah, right here, boom, can't catch me with the brushes, and then hit, boom, I like how she picks it up. And then of course she hits it with the feet. Stilettos go on your legs. Now, we're not wearing stilettos for this. Part of me does think it would have been cool if we worked with stilettos, but there ain't no way at HE double hockey stick she'd be getting me to dance this mess in heels at all. we've been wearing this the Doc Martens, which is what they were pulling, that kind of fit for sure. But because she said stilettos, that's why in my head I'm like, you can't catch me with my stilettos on, meaning like I'm going to steal your heart and look good doing it. So that's why for me, I would use that as a costume influence. Boom. And then she goes criminal. I still feel it is interesting that we're treating it more like a boxer. We're going to beat you up. But also criminals, they assault people. So I get that. So there's this kind of imagery with the gun, but there's also like, I'm going to take you out. And then the kick over, boom. There's that different tones. So of course we need a different posture shift, which is what we see. She does the trace down on either side. It's seductive, but not like in your face way. We just find the little slow runs are cute. Boom, and I like the little brush away. And she accents over it. Now that's nice because it's more expedited compared to the beginning one. It's a speed change. So that's a really good example of reintroducing movement quality or reintroducing a content material, but it's repackaged. That's something I wish Envy did more of. And I think some of the others in the leader class, they didn't repackage it. They just redid it. And so it felt redundant. Do you know what I mean? Especially when you're doing it in the core specifically, you want to be mindful of that. So that's my note there. I love that. I like that with the hip on that. It's fine. Then that right there, how she bleeds it through. I really like that choice and how it hits down. So she does a trace and it's a different plane. And then she does more rotational on this one, which is nice. I know it's a switch. Notice with the heel. You notice Envy doing that for hers. Yeah, but the brush, and it goes swing. So she's bleeding through the phrases. She's not just, okay, I'm doing content specifically to this phrase, and then I have to transition and do something completely different in the next phrase. This movement is going to bleed over into the next 8 count, so it feels like I'm piecing it together, just like there's certain sounds that bleed over between one 8 count to another or a measure to another. So I love that in her flow. I feel like it's cute. Criminal. Now she does The same thing, this one move right here, which is, I think, out of all that I've seen, that's something I can get over. That's whatever, you know what I mean? And it's definitely like a focal point choreo, so a movement, so it makes sense why you would do this again. But I'm talking about there's other people who would do the same thing. Like, it's not Fever, like they would do this, like Envy would do this. It's not technically a focal point choreo like this was for Fever or Energy. So that's why it felt like we've already seen it 3 times. She only did it twice. She did it in the bookends of it to feel like, okay, we're beginning and we're ending our course, which works. So far, like, that's a really strong choreo. It's great. We like it. Okay. So we have Chloe. Her movement is too loud. For the mischievousness of it, it's very Harley Quinn equivalents. When it needs to be like Catwoman. Do you know what I mean? Still villainous, but not different kind of femme fatale we're looking at. How she finished it at the end, I didn't mind. This Criminal reminds me of Taemin's Criminal, how when they fixed it or they adjusted it from the original demo. Sorry, no, it wasn't an original demo. There was 2 demos given. Koharu's demo and I think it was Casper's demo for Taemin's Criminal was different, and this was more of the Casper take, which was cool, but yeah, I stand by what I say. It's very full out. For the Whisper, we're gonna go so full. That's why it's too much of a contrast for my personal taste. So you notice, like, it's falsetto, it's quieter, it's more intimate, but we're gonna make it pop off like we're hitting a bass, or we're hitting like this whoosh, like a whip is what it gives. And her hair does contribute to that, so it goes up, down, feel like, and now we pulse it back and then we bring it over to the side. Notice this looks very similar to Oops's Fever portion, doesn't it? But the difference is she has more fullness in her choices, which is why it looks different. That right there, that gives me such a, like, what is it? It's a hostage. You're a hostage, but you're doing the will of somebody gladly. It's that's Harley Quinn to me with that moment right there. Yeah, feel fine with the crisp. That was nice and crisp. That Criminal. Oh, so of course by the wrist, it's like we're bound in some way. Now that was fine, but also the ding ding ding. Are we hitting the guitar there? What are we hitting? So I can hear why she's going on the double steps on that, but it's not too much. What is it? How is she sitting in that? Let me see. Boom, right there. It's fine. It's just unrefined in the like, it doesn't feel as digestible. Like, it feels that here's our movement, and then boom, we're like whipping into the next one when the song doesn't call for like a whipping speed change like that. With my stilettos on, like, that's a cute moment. I love that. Feel harder, and then we've already kind of done this. That's a Hanoi Girls thing, because I'm already seeing it right here too. Envy did the same thing, not the same move, but the format is similar, meaning, like, look, we've already repeated that. It's the second time we're seeing this. That's not, I think, her focal point thing. Like, this felt more focal point than that. And then when she does it, so she repeated it, did 1 arm instead of 2. She whips it. Yeah, that part right there, that is such a, like, it's so interesting because you have, like, Ko has Jojo Gomez matching music. She's giving Jojo Gomez Too Wild, right? It feels like that. Because that right here, oh my god, I've seen Jojo do that with a pop, with a little accent there, which is what Envy did. So funny. That there too, that's giving, like, lipstick smudge. It doesn't give, like, classy, I've just stolen your heart, here's a tip. You know, it gives I've succumbed myself to corruption in, like, a Suicide Squad way, right? Yeah, that part right there, very full, but it gives, like, a petty conversation, and this feels like, I just killed your dog. Do you know what I mean? I think that's what's killing me about this. So they were right. They were not wrong. They said it's really too full. I agree with it. That was my biggest thing with Envy. She was way too full on Fever, see, I'm calling it Fever, on Energy, for the exact same reasons. I think it's a Hanoi thing. It worked on certain choreos, and it doesn't work for all. It doesn't work for this track. Just like a really feminine pocket doesn't work as ideally onto Energy, like some of the choreography was being placed for, you know? So Little body roll, boom. Now that right there, notice it's very conversational, it's sensual. We needed way more of that kind of texture in play. So that's my note to Chloe there. That criminal, and we go, and she hits it down. The finish, I mean, I feel like if she had that type of impact at the end, it would have been fine if she wasn't so aggressive in the other sections. So that's my note there. Her choreo would have been perfect for energy. Legit. How she hits this is too, what is it? That's such a weird thing to say. Like, I feel like this one, the type of track it is, it feels, it's hard to branch for myself away from the noir femme fatale vibe. It's so hard to. This movement feels like it deserves to go, like, I really like the format of it. It deserves to go on a track that's gonna appreciate her posture more than this one. Does that make sense? I think that's like the best way I can word it. Yeah, but I feel like I personally would want to see this onto the energy BPM and convert it over to that. And I think it honestly would be more competitive there. But I don't mind this one. And I know there was more respect to her than there was to the leader, which I find is interesting. It could just be the credentials or whatever, you know, which is fine. That's life. Okay. So right here, she goes hitting the bass. Yeah, she goes da-da. So I like how she hits it and then she bleeds it in. Nice to go. And there's a really good flow and then she rotates it around. I feel it's just movement, honestly. But it's like, I feel like when we're talking about ourselves, we use our hands talk, where we look matters. We're looking at ourselves. We're referring to ourselves. So that part I really like, but a lot of her choices do feel like movement. They don't feel like they're tying or they're specified to the track that we're listening for, you know? That right there. Criminal. So we do, I think we just reset with a little click, step click, and then we go reset. There's nothing that she did there that matches criminal. It just feels like movement onto the track, you know, which is why I'm like, it would work better on energy. Yeah, I feel, so feeling, probably going off of flow feeling, that kind of stuff. Fine. All that, and then they go more legato usage. She's using her chest a lot more, which is cool. Then there's a little sweep is nice. Boom, can't with my. There, we're going here. This would have been better if it was placed earlier, talking about criminal. And then whenever she did her footwork, that would have been better for stiletto. So I feel like she needed a puzzle piece or reformat the order of her choreo, and I think it would match the wordplay better. So I think they did make a note on this one. It didn't match the music. It doesn't match the music, but I like the vibe, but not on this track. Just like I like Chex and Envy's choreos, not onto Fever, though. The energy. Try a little harder. The little dip there is fine. So she doubled that there, going down in. We've already kind of seen this, but it's not complete. That would be like a butterfly or a W with a crisp punctuation on tail end of the knees. So that'll be my note there. Like, it feels like we're resetting in the middle versus actually with an accent with a butterfly. Then we have the shoulders, which is fine. And then we go brush, and we pick it up, which is nice. Then we dip in. Ooh, that was a nice, I like how it feels onto the track, but knowing that there's a concept involved, it doesn't feel that way. Punch up. Yeah. I think this would be a good choreo to do for like a combo for a class, but not for a video shoot, which is what we ended up having, right? So they take it out in a little step, and a little hit. That reminds us of rookie class. So I know they don't know that, but it does. It's, you know, it is, part of it is nice is that we're not having overlapping movement focal point choices, because it can hinder the creativity or the iconicness of what a choreo can look like whenever you're dealing with 4 classes. It's just a risk. Nothing crazy on that though. Boom. I feel like she was pulling more so from the shoulder than from the head on that. So that would be my note there. I'm a criminal. Yeah. So in general, it really did not match the like, it matched the flow well. It didn't match the essence, nor the wordplay, nor the tone. I think. But the flow of it was nice. Like, you could see her movements match certain parts of the music in theory, but it didn't feel like it was supposed to be made for this song, I think is my point there. Here we go. Millionaire. I mean, she did. Honestly, I think Millionaires matched the idea of the track more so than Oops did. But I liked the Oops setup, though. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's what's fascinating about this. Here we go. Ta-da, ta-da. The breath is there. We're not really having a lot of guidance. How she's hitting it in her lack of groove is very similar to Oops Leader. So, it's interesting. Boom. Criminal. The subtlety, like, yeah, I feel noticed. It's definitely, it matches the level. Part of it could be because she doesn't know how to, like, create, like, big and little movements. I think she can dynamically, but, like, making it where it feels equal and balanced on both sides, I think. Yeah, that right there, too, with the lift, it does feel like we have some restrictiveness in the shoulders for her, but that's life. Yeah, like there, I feel like we're trying to go more conversational. I like the idea, but she's not able to interpret it, and I think they worded that perfectly. That's very true. This would be a good stealable choreo for that reason. If you know you're like, Millionaire cannot do this choreo as ideally as I think she even wants to, perfect opportunity for me to vote for it, swoop in and steal it, and we can do mine. But then, you know, goes into the question, whoever steals it, can they hold it down in the movement direction? Or for me, like, I would want people to pick my choreo. That would be really nice. And then for me, I wouldn't have to change anything, but then part of me would also be like, I said this in the episode too. I'm come from the position of, okay, then I will steal your choreo if you do not want mine, or if you think mine is too difficult, you're gonna have to learn it eventually. Like, that to me is a flex. If you can think in your head, you're like, I'll make you learn it anyway. Don't worry, you either want to learn it now or learn it later. Ooh, you know, like that would be the ammo I would provide to the show. If I was in their position and I presented my choreo and they were like, this is a contender, it's too hard, or it's I don't think it is, honestly, or it's too stylized, or we couldn't steal that from you. Okay, I'll steal your choreo and then you can do it anyway, right? But also, I don't know how I would handle this environment really at all. I don't have to deal with the stress of the show. When I made my choreo, it could have looked completely different. I could have had a breakdown, most likely, because I would be like, I'm stressed. People are going to judge me. They're going to judge me anyway, but you know what I mean? It's so interesting. But anyway, Millionaires the format is really not that bad. The snap there, I think timing is off though. This right here, criminal, this feels like we're placeholding until we hit the snap right here. Boom, boom, that's fine. I mean, we have a clear defined ending for that. The picking up on there, boom, can't catch me. We could normally add some arms there, boom, can't catch me with my boom, you know, which is cool. Yeah, boom, stilettos on with the chest, harder, boom, try a little harder. All it is just adding some groove into it, adding a feminine posture into it, and being on time, and this has some serious potential. And then she ends up doubling it up, and once again, continuing to just do it until it's the next phrase, you know? Body rolls, that's fine. Like, I can tell what Co and Check train her on, you know, because I know she trains with F.E.D. I don't know who she called out. I don't know if it was, I don't know if it was Check or if it was Co. My apologies for that. They're twins. So, but I can see, like, this right here. She's comfortable with that because I can see F.E.D. really pull that often, which is fine. Yeah, da, which is nice. So she does it again. Yeah, little camel walk, which is cute. Boom, boom. And then she's like, bye-bye, I'm gonna disappear. Then that there, it did feel incomplete. It felt like she wasn't flexible enough to go all the way down, so that'll be my note there. Little body roll. She ends up doing it twice. Boom, I feel. And then we double it on one side. It did feel incomplete, that we're originating our energy from the wrong part of our body, more so from here versus our back. So that'll be my note there. And then right there, criminal, using the chest more than the arms. Use the chest. Oh, I just popped my back. to make this feel even on all the sides, but also more feminine and open. So that'd be my note to her there. She just needs, honestly, I would, if I trained her, I'd be like, okay, let's learn your choreo. You teach me your choreo, because that would help her retain it better. But also I would help her be able to figure out how to do the groove. So Man Air, if you watch this, I would love to help you figure out how to do the grooves to that, because I like the idea of this a lot. Honestly, a lot more than I was expecting. Yeah. I like So Fired this choreo. I'm 2 for 2 on liking theirs a lot. I do think if you replace this with guns, here to here, maybe, boom, boom with a pull up, I would say this, because this does give like Monster, which works, but Criminals, you think gun more than you think horns. I know this is more evil intent, but that would be that's my biggest thing on that, is we did a lot of this versus not really playing on the criminal like gun imagery that you could have worked with. Okay. I like the format of this one a lot. And I stood my ground for Bong Lu Bong. Like, Bong Clay Bong, I really feel that with her, like, they were asking her to do something that was really, really hard to do. You can't just switch a posture that you have implicitly trained for years and years in a day and a half or a week, getting that all fixed. If you watch Great Dance Crew with me on Patreon, I talk about that. Like, if there's a girl on there, she got most improved for switching between having a heavy ballroom background to doing a hip hop influenced choreography. That is a lot harder to do than you think it is, and she was able to do pretty good on both, of course. But but that's a big thing that I noticed with hers, is I really love her format. Love So Fire's format on this. Love it. It's probably one of my favorite choreographies across the board that I've seen from anybody. But because all I would want her to do is hold a feminine posture in it, but that is a really tough ask for her, because I understand the amount of time it takes to convert between like a feminine posture to an implicit masculine posture. She has to do the opposite. That is not an overnight thing. It takes her having to continue to subject herself and be humbled by how you convert this information. It's just a different slang movement quality, right? But I love the format of this a lot. Yeah, this right here, da-da, da-da, is just adding a little arch in the back, boom, 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 criminal. Like, that's super cool. My fingers are struggle busting on that, though. Yeah, it's fun, though. This right here with the rotation, I really like this choreo. Okay, yeah, boom, boom. It matched so freaking well. And she goes in criminal, So she goes double with the tap, 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 da 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 da, and she isolates it to match the syllables. Come on. I feel fine. Glasses come off. Of course, that does mess with the flow of how she's doing it, because her glasses fell off. She don't want to sit on it. And it goes criminal. You could have just heard it to guns, no problem. No tap, tap, tap. That was nice. Yeah, boom, can't catch. You can really sit into it. Arch of the back really plays volumes in this. They'll double up on that is nice. This is on. That's, once again, we're seeing the points. I would say change the hand. Boom, try a little harder. I would say maybe the footwork. I do like the Charleston on it. I think, what is it? Doing a little monastery, I think, would have really helped there, because you can convert a monastery to a feminine posture. Criminal, and then we go and rotate it. Yeah, I love that. It's fierce. And then you have a little glide on this. Yeah, ooh, come on. And the switch is really nice, and the pull is nice too. There's your monastery. Boom. You see what I'm saying though? Like, that right there, such a really nice way you can just make it petty with my girls, But we do have to ask the question. Bong Play Bong, this type of track, the choreography works very well, but could I trust that she'd be able to direct it to keep it with to where we could do the choreo, but you would see the feminine posture take more of the the front, right? That's the hard thing. Just like I was saying, the other ones, they had a feminine posture. Those are harder to convert to a masculine posture in comparison to these converted to a feminine. And so that's what I find interesting in this, is that I wasn't thinking about, okay, if I picked Envy with their choreo, would I have trusted that it would have gone more onto the masculine front? No. And I would have to say the same thing here. I wouldn't trust that we would go and maintain the integrity of the feminine, feminine vibes that this track gives if she was the one in charge of the direction. Even though I really like the choreography in the mechanic format in which it is presented. It is my favorite, I think, so far of the format and how it's structured. Now, is it my favorite on a aesthetic front? No, not because of the track it is. Just like when you saw with Oops, her choreo would have fared better on a different track. Hers matches the track, but the posture doesn't. And does that make sense? So that's so fascinating to talk about. That's so cute. Like, that part's really cute. Ding, 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 pa, pa. I would want her to advocate for this and be like, I'll let others, be in charge of the feminine direction of this when do the choreo. Like, if that would sell it for me. If I asked her, I said that'd be the one thing it'd be hard for me to trust you with, is that it would maintain like the feminine posture, but I love the content. And if she said, I'll let F.E.D be the one that helps convert the posture to the more feminine side, but we do the choreo. If that's F.E.D's skill set, that is my skill set, but that's not everybody's. I can do that. I don't know if F.E.D can. I don't know. Well, that would be something that would be circumstantial. That would be a very interesting conversation if I was in this position, because I really like it a lot. And right there with the slow runs is nice. They break it through. Ba-da-da-da-da-da. I like how we go reset with the ball change. We go swing it around, go out in, which is nice. Criminal, and then we double it up. So that was fine. What just happened? Did y'all see my light show that just happened? Apple products are freaking wild with these little bubbles that pop up. I ain't never had a rave party in my room like that. Cool. Anyway, this ending here, I think it'll do it again. We'll see. But this to this, and then I did it again. Okay, now we know. Don't do double rock star hands. Yeah, so we're pretending. So they do the arms and they branch them up and over, and then she goes and finishes. Too nice right there. So that was fine. That was my only note. Everything else I liked. I liked the flow. I liked the transitions. I liked the choices. It's just how she held herself, but that's not something she can just change, and I respect that. So for me, that would just be a more logistic question on, could I trust you to direct it? Well, I don't know, Okay, moving on. SS Warriors. Ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-da. I feel like I'm... I like the hoodie. The hoodie is cute, and I know they asked the question about the hoodie. Okay, so the question... Well, not the question. I can see where they're getting the Michael Jackson influence, because they did reference that for hers. I see why. So hers is very similar in the case with my leader from SS Warriors, which is really not bad. They're more battlers than choreographers, and that is still impressive that they're able to present what they can. Great job. So this right here, presenting up, the cute. So she's not converting her posture at all either. I really could see effort from SoFire, her effort in some of her choices. I'm not saying she's not putting in effort. I'm saying it is harder to see it here in comparison. The pulls are nice. It's fine, but we're kind of hitting it up once, single, and then we're doubling it up on the other side. I'm a criminal. Oh, no, this part here, the criminal, like that. This movement right here normally goes as like a transition, something fun and like, it's a different type of timbre that you normally see this type of movement go on. But I understand why she was going for it, but it wasn't as clean, just like M's wasn't clean in her format of her rhythm. And then right there to a little Charleston, boom, I feel fine. I think some of the timing is just off. It feels like we were trying to force movements to parts of the music that maybe they didn't. I feel like we could have placed them in other sections and they would have felt more comfortable in that movement to sit in for that duration. I think it's my note there. That little body roll, boom. Well, not really body roll, a hip ball change. And then we go a little cross, a little, maybe pot of a rage, just a cross ball change, I would say again. Yeah, the little snap right there's another one. Boom, kick, and kick, front. The turn, little pivot turn, and then right here, the pickup. Boom, boom. So also her stability, she's starting to lose a little bit. It's rough draft, that's fine, we understand. The boom, try a little harder. And like, that's fun. It does sit different than Ko's, right? Ko's made the hit swerve an accent. She's making more of her groove in the upper body. Her groove is different. And I've mentioned groove before. Stilettos on. She's letting the groove take force and letting the hips support it. Ko let the hips take control of her rotation, and that's why it gave a different vibe. So she's going at it from a hip-hop groove sense when the hip-hop groove doesn't sit on a track like this as effectively as in comparison to like Fever, it would have sat better. So criminal hit, boom, choom with a ball change, come on. And then she goes, she doubles it there. It's just interesting. That at least we're recognizing we do a subtle speed change on the range on that in order to match that. So that's nice. Little step, little ball change, a little sway. I like the sway with the hips, it's cute. Then the sweeps, I like that sweep. And then a kick. A lot of kickball changes coming in this. And then this right here, boom, boom, boom. Now this little move sitting from hips to chest is something that you would see in locking. And that right there with the little lean, that's like the MJ Smooth Criminal lean with the brush. That's what that felt like. She goes boom, 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 boom. She caught the guitar, which I really like. Most people, myself included, went on the she hit the boom, boom. I like that. That was cool. Great way to catch it. And I was able to hear it by what I was watching. There's your sweep. She does it again. Sweep, sweep with the chest. She brings it up. Boom, 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 boom. So she goes pick up, drop, pick up, up. So I like that choice on the levels on that. Boom, and then she goes with the hoodie. It's cute. So now it makes sense why they were like, so do we have to wear a cropped hoodie or something, you know, for your dance? Because she added that as a piece of material in the choreo, right? Okay, and then she goes criminal, she goes to turn to the back, and then she finishes, boom. It's cute. I mean, I like the idea of it, but I totally see why they went with Ko's. I think it was ultimately the best call, but I do think so far as it makes sense why hers was as much of a contender as it was. It is my favorite in format out of them all if you just look at the movement schema of how it was structured. Really, really nice. Here we are, my time to be roasted. Let's go. So I did shoot this before I even watched the excerpt on purpose because I did not want to be influenced by anything. So here it is. Okay, so I actually like the format of my choreo. Well, I do not like how I do it, if I'm being honest. Okay, so let's talk about it. So right here, just setting it up, nothing crazy on that. Boom, I feel this right here. I think a pull of the sternum would be a little bit more helpful, body rolling to create a nice moment, very like cat feminine-like. Let me also tell you this, I was so freaking insecure about this choreography, about me doing it when I would look at it, because notice this is a version 2. I did upload a version 1, and the reason why I ended up taking that one down and putting this one up is because I looked like I was enjoying myself more on this one, because the first version that I uploaded, and even though I shot them all in the same section, I had stronger arms, but everything else was subpar in the execution, and it didn't look like I was enjoying myself. But here it looks like I am, because I try to showcase some degree of personality in it, but I do think that could this have been stolen from me? there's a chance it could have, honestly. I'm not negating that. So it goes boom. So this is like tone for me. I consider this like tone setting. I'm going in, and you know, I was thinking the Catwoman femme fatale vibe, which is why I wanted to kind of walk in like, I'm not gonna do anything. And because of the tone and how falsetto she goes, it feels that kind of innocent, dainty vibe. It's deceptive, right? Criminal. Also, it goes a little chest roll with the guns. And then right here, I like the head roll. Boom, boom. This position here, I was not using my back, and you can tell that I'm not. I like the criminal. That needed to be a little bit more full in the rotation. The click, click. Look at the, oh my goodness, Jess. So I'm allowed to roast myself, everyone. It's okay. Okay, so this angle right here is fine. It's this one. The reason why I ended up reshooting and uploaded the first version some of you may have seen was simply because this angle was off, and in my head I'm like, I've ruined the whole choreo. I am a perfectionist, if you haven't noticed, and so that stuff really bothers me when I don't do it to the standard in which I want to show it. This right here needed to be more inverted too. You can tell I'm pressing the knee a little bit too far in, and I'm putting too much pressure on the inside of the knee for that reason. So there's that. Now this part right here, boom, I think I was influenced by the guitar, boom, boom, I feel fine. I needed this to be like a comment, so this moment was able to match how she was singing it better. Fine, fine, the I should have hit something there, and I didn't, and I should have. It's true. I like this vibe though with the hip. Criminal, boom, ding, ding. Maybe this could have been more like a gun sway or something, maybe. Now this part I liked, so it goes boom, can't catch me with my boom. I liked how I phrased it. I normally don't phrase it like that, so I felt really good about that because it's very unlike me. Stilettos on, and of course I really wanted to make it a point where I'm femme, and I showcased the fact I hear it says stiletto. And I did take it more seriously that I wanted to match the wordplay, especially in the Vietnamese section, because I'm a white girl who don't know lick outside of English. I do know some Spanish, some Korean, some Japanese, some Chinese, but I know nothing in Vietnamese. So I felt burdened by, Jess, if you're gonna pull choreo here, you better not be ignorant and ignore. There are words, match them. So that's exactly what I focused on, was wordplay as much as possible. So I'm letting you guys in on what my brain was up to for all of this. But this right here, I like that boom, try a little harder. That pivot turn should have started at the front or started from the side. It was unclear. So that would be my note there. And that hip could have been way bigger. Click, click. I could have looked down on him too. Then this part here, it's supposed to be, look at how off I am on this arm position. You can tell that my flexibility is off balance in my shoulders for this right here. Criminal. So I wanted to do the guns, criminal. Then I wanted to do connection at the wrist, criminal, and I broke it. And then I accented from the base of the wrist. I wanted that like crispness, and I was like 85% there. So if you look, criminal, that's there, but this got lost, and I caught it back in with this accent, and then I brought it back in. So I missed like 2 syllables worth of isos, and maybe by teaching it, I would have refined that for myself. But if this is what I did for dance rank, and not rough draft, but like final, I think I could have gotten it stolen. It could have gotten stolen from me. Anyway, but this right here, I could have sunk into that way more. So I think I wasn't really using my plie at all for some of these choices. I think I could have. That right there with the little shoulder roll. And then ikoy, or it's something. Now this is like, I don't know. What is the words on that? I did make it intentional. It's like, you wish you could see me or something like that. Or it's like, I'm disappearing. No, that's disappearing here. That one. I really try to be mindful of that. But this one, it does match what she's saying. This here, the body. I did like how that looks there. Da, da, da. And that there, I should have gotten lower. My whole goal for that was to really hinge super low, make the hips a bigger focal point, and make it like very conversational, like don't act like you forgot, like that kind of vibe. A lot lower, but I didn't, and so I think that's why it feels a little bit underwhelming in that section. But I like what I did, boom, boom, da da, cha cha, and I like the flick of that. Yes, man, that was fun. And then the sway here, the accent is more so in the shoulder for that. And you can see that there, and then you make a heart, and thank goodness I actually made this shape. It would be awkward if I was just making lines over my boob. That'd be weird, right? And that right there, that could have been way bigger. And I also think, look, I'm also doing the same thing. I ended up repeating the sway, sway, side, side. You can tell that this is not my main style that I explore. I don't have to, I mean, yes, telling you guys really does help extend extra grace to me to be like, oh, this isn't her style, you know? But also, I'm still subjected to the general public of critiques. I posted it, right? And I'm also sharing my own perspective of being constructive, so I am not exempt from that. You know, so if anybody said these things, I would humbly agree with you. You know, I'm still growing in this, but I can still be proud of this take. It's still different. It's a challenge for me, and I did my best in this moment, you know, and that's just where I'm at. Then rotating it through, and then it goes right here, criminal. Oh, I wanted to do something more than that. I could not think about something that I could do more outside of that, and I purposely gave myself a crunch time. Like, I had less than 30 minutes to actually like create it, and I did that on purpose because I needed to simulate as much as possible this kind of stress that they were going through when they were making their choreos. I don't have all day, 3 days to come up with it. I have one session to take it. We all go, and they would, you know, they would do the choreo, and then we would pick, and then we would all learn it, and then we would compete it the next day, if that. Probably shorter than that, right? So I wasn't about to sit here and be like, I'm gonna give myself 3 business days to do this. No, that's not fair in any regard to like people's rough drafts. I really wanted to showcase as much of a rough draft as I could, but also within reason. You know what I mean? Like, at least I got to dress up. But even then, my arms are so thin, and because they're silhouetted like that, you can clearly see when my angle is off. And so I was really insecure about that too. So the body roll is there, and then switch, switch. And I really wanted to lean this way more, but notice that I still have it catering on the midline, and I'm just creating a subtle arch, which is fine. But that is definitely like, I see so much room for improvement for me. So part of me would be like, I would like to see what would happen if I taught this and then if I reshot it. But I'm still so, honestly, I'm still so insecure about what I did or how I did it. It is hard for me to like go back and relearn and re-put myself in that position. So I just had a stressful day that day too, which honestly makes it feel more authentic in my honest opinion. So I still like my vibe on this. I like my choreography to this. I do not like how I do it, I think is my point. So if any of you cover it, I would love to see it, honestly, but we're gonna pay respect, cover Co's first, and then if you have time, you can cover mine.
Middle.
I am excited about this one. Yep. It was very it's so unrefined for a group that dances together. Do you know what I mean? I think that's what really surprised me about this one getting selected is when I watched it originally. They are not on the same page on how they're executing it, so I was shocked that they picked this one. I don't mind it though when you look at the actual choreo, but when you're looking at it, like, you want it to be clean to some degree, right? I would just assume, but that's just me. But they all get to make their own little vibe, which is fun. I think it's cool. They go back in and they say, come on. And breathe in, breathe out. So I like that. Same lower body, but notice the range is off for them. Breathe in, breathe out. And they go breathe, inhale, exhale. So this right here, because the chest is more of a focal point, makes sense why we're doing inhale, exhale, talking about breath. Chest utilization is really helpful there. That they'll switch. This move right here is the reason why I like the fact that we didn't have other choreographies from the other ranks have this move in it, because it feels like it tailors to this rank more effectively. And then with the switch up, I like how they continue the phrase and ended up changing the direction on it, but still continuing the syncopation in the lower half. And they go boom, 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 which is nice, but they are not on the same page on a lot of their stuff though. If I just look at one of them, it's cool. When I look at both, I'm like, we're off. Well, body roll is fine with the switch. Boom. I like the look on that. And they do have that was a pretty decent, partner moment, which is fun. And then they go a little dig and dig. Of course, you have the little shoulders on that. Go from high, and then right here, they go da-da-da-da mochi. And they go that choo-choo. I like the choo-choo. That's a really fun part right here. With the go from high, low, and then the out, in on the knees. And then it goes da-da-da-da-da. And I like how we go the arm, and then we go and we bleed it over to the side. And this right here, boom, boom, boom. Now this... It's just interesting whenever I see it in choreo. That's very full, and it makes sense why it's there, but yeah, it's just I find it interesting whenever I do see it. Go back and put it a dun dun, so they double it, which is fine. They bring an odor routine. I like that. Da 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 da. So I like the look of personality there. With the head is fun. It goes high to low. That part was off, I think, is my note. But it was near the end, so I think that with people, it's not that big of a concern. I mean, I can see why it was picked. I don't mind it in comparison to the rest. That honestly, I do feel, I mean, we'll look at the rest of these. I do feel like the middle class was more competitive in the choreography selections than all the other ones. So this right here in the beginning. Yeah. I'm glad theirs wasn't picked just for the sheer fact of a lot of these sequences remind me of their K-pop challenge, and so I'm glad we got to experience it there, or it would have felt a little, not redundant, but more predictable, I think, or it wouldn't feel like we were able to appreciate this one as much for that reason, because we've already kind of seen it. Boom, ding, ding with the head, that's fun. Little ball change. And then it goes breathe in, breathe out. Yeah, that's cute. Breathe in, breathe out. A little scuff of the foot. But I like that part. Inhale, exhale. So we could have done something with like a little exhale moment instead of just doing it the same on both sides. Just to recognize that there is words involved. Then blow out. Fine. Yeah, a bit basic for a group of two. I do think with a group of two, you have more of an opportunity to showcase more complexity because it's already going to be, people are already expecting, we can't just do it by myself, we have to do it with somebody else. You know what I mean? But you don't want it so complex in the partnering that it feels completely impractical that you couldn't do it yourself, but people already know that they have to look at this one differently than the other one, so I think you can add some density to it. The brush was fun on that, and the body roll is nice. That part was also bon da da dum. It is giving a little, not royal family vibes. It kind of does. It could be because of the pants that they're wearing and the colors. It reminds me of 2013 royal in the yellow and black. But I know they've worn a fit like this in their practices. And then yeah, that's cute. That's fine. Kick through. So it's surprisingly pretty simple in comparison to Swfv's, if that makes sense. Like I would say honestly, it's about the same degree of simple that Chex was. I'd say Ko's has the most complexity out of all of F.E.D's that I've seen. But I don't mind it. It's just, it's all a power game of like, how virally simple do you want, or how virally complex? Like there's like a balance you can have. Because there's some choreos that are known for being more complicated or more difficult to do in essence that are still fun to challenge on social media. You just have to figure out and study which ones are those and what are the common denominators of those. So in this sense, I do feel like it's a smidgen simplistic for a group of two. Not as much interaction that I wish there could have been. That right there, she was really hitting it nice and low. She wasn't, so we already have a disconnect there as well. So maybe everybody's just not on the same page on like uniformity. So it's probably why there was more forgiveness on those choices and they were just looking at the schema of the format of the two, which I think makes sense. So that's fine. It'll about to be right. It feels like we're running into each other a smidgen too, it doesn't it? It reminds me of the 2v2 on Worst Dancer battle situation where they literally ended up on top of each other, and I'm shocked that they didn't make that a thing that was shown on on TV, but I digress though. A little tap in, a little tap there. I like the the hips were really nice. And they go over, which is nice. They hit over. No, it's fine. With nice little hips on the tail end. I do feel like we always do something like that with the hips facing the back. I think all of them we've seen something like that from F.E.D. So that's just my in general note with that one. Yeah. They're doing more wordplay. Okay, that one, I remember they had talked about with that one, it was very complex, and the partnering makes sense. It works great for a dance concept, which is what we ended up seeing, but not for social media. Theirs was too simple for socials. I think this one's too complex. So it's like the harsh ends of the spectrum and then finding a balance in the middle. So far now, the more that I'm seeing the other ones, the more I understand why Swfv's got picked. So right here. They go to bleed over. The sound will come back eventually. Okay, so they go nice little accent, boom, ta-dum. Fine. They go back down and up. The switch up, boom, da-da-da-da. I like the angles on that. It's really nice. boom with the head, they go and present out, and then they have their nice little moment. They do a nice little body roll to come up, breathe in, breathe out, inhale, exhale, so they go out. So good range on this, and then blow out. I like that moment. That was cute. And she goes, has her little moment over here, and then my other girl has it to accent more on the up end on that, and they hit it through little fan. She drops it down low. I love that moment. If they didn't have this little thread moment with the kick, I think that was like enough, I think, of the partnering on this. That part is also fine, but this interlocking here, that's good for the dance shoot, not for social media. This right here. They kick. It's really fun though. I like it, and it was still a focal point in the video, which I really like seeing. So they have a little dip on that, which is fun. Go back in, little hip accent, which is totally fine. Brush, brush, little potty berets, and then every other, which is not every other, but having this little pull towards each other. It's fun. We love that. And then we dig with the heels, boom, da 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 da, and then we peel up the arms up, swing, swing, which is nice. And then we go with a little brush, brush, little scuffs on that action there, that do 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 doom. The accent with our arms, not really overheads or whacking or anything like that, but something similar along those lines. Then it goes up. What do they do there? Here? Boom, doom, doom. The pull is nice. The heel digs, we've already kind of seen that. They go back in, looking through, and then they do a little brush, and then they go, so they all do something subtly different, and then with a nice little finishing pose. So I can see that, and then that little, where they grab and then they extend the leg through, those two things feel like subtle overkill for the choreo being selected to be done on social media, but I really do like some partner choices that were made. I do like. So, and she, of course, she lost her footing near the tail end too. So here we go. We got oops. I like that moment. Not what too bad. Okay, that one is about, if you really think about it, if you look at Swfv's, they had subtly more complexity in theirs, but it was a similar degree of cleanliness, which is why for me, I'm like, if we're gonna pick one off of cleanliness, HANOIXGIRLS was on the cleaner side compared to everybody else, but like I think it's interesting, like sometimes I feel the need to go up to bat for oops or to make people realize they're not as off-putting as what most people are like heckling it out to be. There's just certain things that they have that are absent in their bodies that gives the certain impression and how it does, but their choreo in schema looks very similar to all these other choreos that you have already seen, but those don't give you that impression, and I'm trying to tell you why, you know. So I think it's just a little bit of that kind of stuff. But this right here, the walk, I like the presentation of this, is nice. I do think it is unfortunate when it came to the worst dance rank, the 2v2 on that. Both Oops and F.E.D, I think, were both very underwhelming performances, and it was very unfortunate what we were given in that, which just sucks. It just sucks that we do that in the show too. It's just not my favorite format at all. With the boom ting ting, no, that was fine. I mean, I feel like it was a bit like, oh, we need to put something here, and they just put something there. So that's it. Now this right here, breathe in, like that boom da doom doom. It feels like we completely ignored it and we're just going angles, which I mean would make sense if you set up your tone a little bit more effectively. This wouldn't feel so, okay, we're just doing movement for the sake of it. The turn, inhale, exhale with a little shampoo, and then we have a little, they just choose to do little level drops. They don't really interact like a ton. And boom, da-dum, do. Okay, we have some mirroring on that. And then they go out. I do think that's not a practical, like, snake with the back. I don't think they gave themselves enough time to get us prepped for this moment where one of them was snaking forward and one was snaking back. Does that make sense? It felt rushed, and I think that's my big thing too, is that the transitions with Oops, I would say my sub leader, hers was pretty good. Just put it on a different track and I think it would have fared better. But this one doesn't feel connected. The transitions are neglected. Yeah, boom, da da doom, that feels like we're marking in our lower half. The little body roll, ow. I like that. Like, that was a really cool moment with the hair and then her kick. Boom. That was really nice, and it matched the tone well. Part of me wishes we saw that. Or maybe they did put it in and I just didn't get to see it. But I like that moment. And then right here with the hips, I see the potential of that, where they go boom, 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 which is fun. And that feels like, I think she was trying to go on the first section. She went on the second section. So she went up high. She went more mid with the chest, which is fine. Boom, down, down with the head is cute. And they go boom and choo-choo, which is fine. And swing, swing, swing. And they bring it up and then a little tap, tap there. It was fine if we had more, I don't know, whenever you choose to go very simplistic like this in this section, having more complexity to help balance that is always helpful. And I think that's my big thing is when you go too simple the whole time, it feels like you're not giving me anything to like latch onto or stay captivated by. Even in virals, because you have really short retention with people nowadays, which is why you need more of that kind of drastic shift. You don't want things too complex too long, nor too simple too long. So... And then right there on the other side was fine. I would say my girl right here in the black, I think she fared better on this, like the actual hit on the usage of the hip, which was fine. Now that right there, it felt, did she forget? Maybe. And then we do the little body roll there. We went for it. I felt like it was a bit overly seductive for the point of the track, I guess. Yeah, the da-da-da-da, and then we had an awkward stop. Da-da-da-da, awkward stop, versus letting it flow and letting it flow. Even though the da-da-da-da and da-da-da-da, there's this little pull at the tail end of her tone that we didn't recognize, and I think that's why the end punctuation of that choice didn't feel as satisfying. Then this right here, they did not give themselves enough space right here. Then right here, that doo-doo-doo-doo, notice right there, she has to keep her leg up. She keeps hers extended, and they body roll that da-da-da-da. I don't mind the body roll to the flat out on that. It's fine, but I can see why this one wasn't selected for very similar reasons as to why, I mean, oops, her choreo wasn't, for leader, wasn't the most practical either for very similar reasons. I don't mind that one as much. That one's fine. Some of the choices were really fine. I think like, because for me, my personal preference is when you hear a feminine tone, depending on how it's structured, it feels more like more of a punch than criminal, right? And it definitely gives similar, it's not like law, but it feels closer to law to me than some of the other tracks do. And that's my big thing too, is I feel like criminal, why that one I think was able to be successful, it was not just because of Ko and her choreo, but the other tracks remind me so much of the Street Woman Fighter Season 2 tracks that were released around the same groupings. Personally, like Rookie sounds really similar to Street Woman Fighter 2's Rookie track. Very cutesy and spunky, right? And then with Smoke and Energy have a similar, like they could be siblings to a certain degree. They could be related in track, which doesn't feel like it has its own vein. And then this one gives more law, like Street Man Fighter with Wu-Tae. But Criminal is its own little vein of like noir, it feels like to me. And just the percussive like sound production of it. And so I think that's why for me it was easier to kind of introduce new movement qualities to it because it was a newer track onto the scene. But the other ones felt like they were not watered down. That's not a good way to put it, but it doesn't feel like it's met the expectation on what was set in the Korean scene. And Vietnam should not be held to the same standard as the Korean scene at all. Even though it's the same format of the show, it's a different scene entirely, and we can respect that. It's a different artist scene, different pool of work. That's a big thing too, because just because you have people that are really, really well versed in certain movement directions in Korea, it's because there's work there that they have that opportunity to do that. In Vietnam, it may be a little different. Like I've seen more like backup work for solo artists, not a ton of group work that I'm seeing as much like we do in K-pop. Like that is a thing there. And in the US, it's a ton of backup work and a lot of choreography for artists for like tours and stuff. So it's so interesting, the kind of just the different types of cultural work environments influence the type of dancers that come out of it, if I'm being real. So I'm saying this is a really good kind of like benchmark, but I don't think the tracks in and of themselves that were produced set up these ranks as much for success as I feel like if we took a different direction on them, because of the reasons I kind of already said. But anyway, right here. So for this one, I like this little boom. It's fun, the little beginning. It does feel more like choreo to the track. It doesn't feel like we're like sinking in and we're making it our own. It feels like we're doing a combo to the track. Yeah, breathe in, breathe out. In, out. It's contrasting elements. So the fact that we did the same thing twice, to me, feels, I don't know, not counterintuitive, but it doesn't feel like we listen to the words there. If we're going to go, breathe in, breathe out, if we're hitting that, even though we're going on bass and we're trying to go off of wordplay, I don't feel like we were listening to the words or what was being said there. That right there, inhale, like she's saying inhale, exhale, blow out, like she's saying the words, but I know we're hitting that boom, doom, doom, doom on the back. So we hit it over, nice arm to set it down. The little groove on that was cute, that was fun. And they also don't look coordinated either as a group together, which I also find interesting. And that's my thing too, is that part of me is like, I would want the group that I pick for their choreo from to be very cohesive and together, because I feel like if they can be together in their rough draft and show it and prove that they can hold it down, I can trust that they would direct me and my partner more effectively. Do you know what I mean? I feel like it's that, because you have twice as many people you have to direct for. Just because you have an extra person that you can direct with, but it's still twice as many people to frame with all your stuff. So that's a big thing, which is why with HANOIXGIRLS, it didn't surprise me. They were very coordinated, even in the rough draft, even though there were some things that were, you know, everything could have improvement. Y'all saw me. I had a lot of improvement in mine too. But that's the beauty of the art, is there's always going to be things that we can improve on, but we can also celebrate some cool stuff too along the way. Hitting it through with that bow. I like how we do bow to match that tone, which is fun. That whoo was fun too. That was fun too. It does, like I said, just feel like a combo. It doesn't feel like a partnering, like we're factoring in that we have two people that we want to interact as much. Hitting it through with the brush is fine. Tap it around. Not a little choo-choo. It's cute, but it feels like, I know I keep saying it. I'm trying to word it in a different way. Where if you're on camera in a class and one of them deviates from the original choreography, it feels like that more so than intentionally choreographed that way. Yeah. Like, that's a fun little gimmick. That was cute. And with the little hip was nice. And then we dig on that chi. Da-da-da-da. That was cool. High to low and high to low. Fine. Da-da-da-da. Yep. So that's my big note for that one. It doesn't feel like we're factoring in two people. It feels like one person made the choreography, the other person learned it, and then the choreographer is comfortable enough with the choreography to deviate and make it more of a moment with those two. It felt like that.
Yeah.
I like the choo-choo for that. The reason why they're making these choices is because of the back. The type of back it is, that it's syncopated, like you could pull Afro, which is what you see, but I don't think it matches as well as it could if it was a masculine tone more than a feminine tone. You know what I mean? So, sorry, that sounds off. Oh, what did I just do? Oh, that's what I did. I'll way back to the beginning. Let me rephrase that. I think I said that wrong. It was more on the masculine side of Afro than like the feminine tone that this carries with the aggression that Afro can bring, I think is my point. So if they carry this more with a feminine posture, I think it would make it dive a little bit more appropriately, not appropriately, effectively in the track. I think this right here is kind of their own thing. I would say, I think she forgot. It looks like she forgot the choreo. That's life. I mean, I feel like everyone kind of made mistakes at this point. The little opposition there with the head. They reset, breathe in, they go high to low, breathe out. Like the range on that was just fun. Inhale, exhale, blow out, but very aggressive, very like punching in your face. There's really not a ton of breathers in it, except for the choo-choo. That was a cute moment. I like that one. I hit that boom, boom. Down this part right here, it's hitting like the essence. It's not hitting like wordplay. It's not really hitting anything specific, which would be my note there. That was nice, boom, bow, but also I would want them to hold it a little bit longer, bow, or rotate it around, because it hits like, it sounds like she boomeranged her voice, bow, but there it was out and then they reset it, so it didn't feel like bow. I mean, it kind of works. That little hoop is fine. I like the different levels, it's cute. but then it was very simple, right? Boom. Yeah, where it just feels like, okay, placeholder as we switch our lines is kind of what it came across as. Then the switch on that reminded me of Envy's part where she did this, right? The kind of stylized hand. That was cute with the little hinge back. That choo-choo, love it. Yep, and then we take it, and then we go into a leg work. Into it feels like more on the viral side, like what you see with Imniki. I like that was one person goes and the other person joins, which is fun. So we go expand out, and then we go and we travel it up. The do with the knees, boom, bring it up. Totally fine. And then you have the subtlety with the hinge. Like, I liked the hinge on the end. It worked cool. It looked cool. But I think after watching them all, it makes so much more sense now why So Far was selected. Because if you eliminate the fact that they didn't look as cohesive together, it's a rough draft. I understand that. I can see why it was picked because in theory, I think how it was set up does match the track pretty well. It has fullness about it where people can really pop off. Had some partner interactions, but it wasn't overkill and it wasn't underdeveloped or overly masculine. Like, it was a really good balance. So, like, I totally understand why they went with who they went with there. The rookies! Let's go. Okay, so with this one, okay, so they did pick Mingas. I have learned Mingas at this point. So, SRT, so it goes hit, which is fine. It goes high, low. No. Now that's the guada, like a guada kind of pocket in the lower half, but it's syncopated with the wave. I love me a good wave, so I actually enjoyed that part. Boom, 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 boom. I felt very full on that. That was a really fun moment to do. She has really fun moments in this choreo, and I actually liked it. That was fun. And a swing, and then we sit into the hip, and do the switch is fine. I do think it's a bit like unrefined in her personal execution of it. It kind of feels like I like the choreography and structure, but how she's doing it, I feel like could have been improved. Just like how I feel about my choreo. It feels very similar in vein. But that was nice. It was like, she was cute. It was like, okay. But apparently she didn't need to do it any better to get selected choreographically wise. But I also know that was a whole stiff because she didn't make it, what's the word? Like, she didn't pass. I personally think that, I don't know, like, part of me, I think that one out of all of them, I wish that we did, no, that sounds too harsh, not that. I personally wish that we went with Minga here because if everybody did it as well as they did, which they did, I'd honor the instructor for it or whoever taught it or their choreography for it. Because that means that they can teach them and the video is going to be successful. Like, how people retain the choreography also speaks volumes on whether or not somebody could be a good director of it. Especially if it's one that's like this. And that's just my 2 cents personally. The brush is fine. That's fun. That was very cute. Yeah, that part there with the quick feet, that was pretty tricky to do. But how they ended up with it to make it cleaner, it makes sense. Like, I was able to do it, but it can be fatiguing when you have to do that a couple times. And the overhead was really cute. Boom. I love this. A little marsh, like you're pulling a marshmallow and then it turns into a ride. I do think that could have been more refined. And whenever, of course, when you see it in the video or you see them compete with it, it is way more refined. So remember, rough drafts here, just like mine's a rough draft, and by teaching it, it does end up looking way cleaner. Marshmallow, right there. And it goes into more like that heel toe, but here she just stepped it. It's cute. Taste so sweet. Oh, swig and big. Boss marshmallow ride. Yeah, so I like how we go brush, swing, brush into a little glide on that or a little slide. And it goes slow, medium, high, which is cute. And she goes and fishes out. So it was actually really good. I think that they did a great job on that. This is all from the corner, so we really can't see it. Hers is very clean. There's not like a spunkiness about it, and she reminds me of Blossom from Powerpuff Girls. I love it. It's cute. Like, it's cute. I think the theory, like the format of it is fine. I just think it's not, there's no spunk in it. There's no like stylized essence about it that makes it attractive to want to learn for this specific track, I think is my point. Oh, hold on. My bad. Sweet SRT, sweet. Boom, so she hits the snap instead of sweet SRT. And then right here, boom, boom, and then we create these, so we're matching the tone, and she switches the hips on that. Good, boom, and then we go rotate it around. Normally and normally, and then we go present it, boom, ha, and I like the subtlety of the head. Tail, cute. And I like that with the pulls with the chest. I like the little subtle head ISO on that. Bang, bang. And now she hits it on there. It's cute, little build up. But it feels very much, I don't know, it feels like an F.E.D pocket, which is a really cool pocket to have. The fact that your crew has one and it's a vibe and they hold their own very well in all the choreographies. That's a great testament. But I do think that it's not quite the right, there's like not a lot of like a grunge spunk flirty vibe that will make this attractive to see on social media, is what it feels like. Yeah, a little trace down, the little ding, that was like neutrally placed versus like a ding, like something fun, comedic, like animated. I think that's what I'm looking at. Very overly, like not overly theatrical like what we saw Regina do in the dance rank mission. I think she did get a little bit too big. Like how she finished her reverbs on the tail end, I think was overkill in my personal opinion. But they didn't ask me to judge that. That's fine. But I really think there's like a balance in this. And I think Minga had it in the dance rank mission, in her choreo, and in how she did it too. And that's why I think I would have voted for her. But anyway, the pushback on that marshmallow, of course, we're eating a marshmallow, which is fun. I like, yeah, the marshmallow ride there is a nice little hit moment. Back, and mellow ride. I didn't mind that. That was fun with the back, and then we bleed it up to the top. Taste so, and then we go and we have a nice little trace down. The switch up is super fun, was cute. But also we do need to factor in the fact that we're seeing it from the corner, so we really can't see a lot of things that I personally want to see. Like, can I verify that she's not giving a super spunky vibe? I mean, I kind of can right here, but not enough like I get a front shot. Why are we not getting a front shot? You know, even in the uncuts, I'm not getting what I want at times. That's fine. They didn't ask me. I'm just a commentator with y'all. And they go and they bleed down. So let me see. How do they finish it? The turn through. So yeah, so all this here. It doesn't, there's not a focal point. I think that's my note for this too. Because I was able to just kind of go through. There's nothing to really look, not sorry, that sounds harsh. Looking at it, there's not anything that I'm like, ooh, that matched the track in this way. That's different than what she's already done, I think is my point. Now with the tension on the hair, with the flick is fine. Yep, and then she goes, and then she crosses, drops it down, and then she has a little dip of the hip. I don't mind this. Like, I don't mind her choreo. So, like, honestly, if I'm being for real, she didn't do this in the video, did she? Like, or it just got lost in translation with some of the other stuff. It could be that, because I like her format a lot. I would say out of everybody's, I would have voted for her format of choreo, because it has what I was saying that I wanted to see, which is spunk, which is overall vibes. It was a whole vibe and a half. You know what I mean? Like, it was enjoyable in the beginning, and it wasn't too much. I think she really did pull that super extroverted card. It worked in her favor, but in my personal opinion, I think it was way too much in energy for some of the parts of Minga's choreo. But her energy she's pulling here, ideal. Personally, it looks fun. Boom, 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 boom. Nice subtlety right there with the head. She brings it over. I like the extension of the leg. Then she does into the chest, so I like that. I do wish there was more of a connection of the leg into the chest, but we pick our battles. There she goes. She grabs her pigtail. Cute. Turning it over. Normally, boom. That was a bit of an awkward kind of transition, but it could just simply be because of the vantage point that we have. Yeah. Dun, 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 dun. Now we've seen this. Like this part, I do remember seeing, so that's not a concern. No, dun, dun. So that was fine. The bum bum bum, like, right? That bing bong is fine. Bing bong, bing bong bang. I think this could have been formatted really cool with formations or like the dynamics of having levels or ripples or something like that. And hitting it over and then in, and then we take the heart over, traveling it over. Da, 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 and how she sits in it. Ba, da, ba. It sounds like it matches how the tone of the finish of the phrase feels. Da, 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 da. There's like a let go, and she's letting go in the posture. That's what it feels like. And then she goes, da, 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 very conversational, like, you know, it's fun. And then she brings it around, ding, ding, like that. That's the kind of stuff I'm like, yeah, that's cool. But remember, this is my personal opinion, my personal preference on when I hear a song like this. That's kind of the subconscious expectation I feel. This sounds like a Mario Kart track, or it also sounds like Wreck-It Ralph with the racing video game in the Wreck-It Ralph series. That's what this track feels like it goes perfect with. Yeah, and the marshmallows, like we're eating a marshmallow, a very large marshmallow, so I think that's interesting. I think we could have made it smaller, but I get it. Of course, it like kind of feels like right here. And picking it up, that mellow ride, like that was also really cute how she travels it. Her course is great. I really like it. That mellow ride with the hip is cute. Taste so right there onto the knee. Sweet. Oh, and then she grabs her pigtails. That was a really seamless transition to get to hairography. And that's a very Vogue little catwalk kind of vibe, isn't it? Like, I like that because I felt like we had some foundation of a street style in this. It wasn't just movement, right? Now, well, I see like the common denominator style I'm seeing is like a heavy amapiano afro influence, which is so interesting when a lot of the dancers do not have the implicit pocket for it. Some of them do, but a lot of them don't. It just looks like movement, right? Which I find so fascinating that we don't have like a heavy, like we don't have like these niches of whacking or other styles. Like SS Warriors has like the hip hop rock and bounce, and I see that, which is awesome and great, but a lot of these tracks don't have that rock and bounce vibe about them, which didn't work in SS Warriors' favor, unfortunately, you know. And like in this track, that reminds me, Groovy's in this, and I think I liked her choreo too, so I'm excited to talk about it. But this works very well, and I like the transition, and I liked having at least like a little glimpse of a style that's not Afro presented in a way where like how she sat in it felt decent and felt well, you know. The swing is nice, and like a little jump rope, it's cute, it feels playful, youthful, which is why I think that works. Da 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 bump, so it goes nice and conversational, boom, accent to catch that snare, and then it goes na na, and then she bleeds out of it. So that one was flirty and spunky, exactly what in my head when I hear the song, that's the kind of choreo I expect to see. I met my expectation, which is why I think I catered and I felt more inclined to receive it. That's me knowing myself enough to know what my preferences are. So there's that. Oops. Cute. Okay, so going to the top here, it did feel like it reminded me of when someone's just like, hey, show us a little something. She's like, okay. That's what it felt like. It didn't feel like we had officially started. It's like, oh, let me get my tone setter. It felt like that. You know what I mean? Like she's hitting it here. It doesn't feel like official choreo. It feels like, okay, I'm waiting for my time to go, which that part, even all this here, boom, doom, doom, doom. Like I see where she's going for, but it feels like, let me run through the choreo real quick in my head is what it gives the impression of. It doesn't feel like an official presentation of it. Then she goes over, nice little weight shifts on that was fine, but it's very muted, I think, for the type of track it is. The little bleed there is fine. Now, that's fine. That boom, boom, and I like the hinge over. And then I think she ended up cutting it off. Part of me wishes that she kept it going and then she incorporated the lyrics. So she combined phrases. I think would have been a really cool thing for her to try to do. But she cut it off and then just went with the next thing. That's something I noticed with Oops in general. I caught it with the leaders one and I caught it with the middle. Is we're cutting off our movement or we're cutting off our choices before we transition over into our next phrase. Like that's the kind of stuff that I said, I think another person, they phrased theirs really well. I think it was Bong Play Bong on the sub leader. Like she phrased her choreo really well where it bled over between the phrases so it connects. And I really like that. And I think Ko also did it, which I also really liked, but she matched the style of the track more, which makes sense why they went with her. Here, that's a perfect opportunity to bleed your phrase because it's justified in that sense because of what you're going on, but she cut it off. She got rid of that sound or she decided to ignore the sound moving forward and transition over. So that just takes fluency of polyrhythms. It's how polyrhythmic is your movement quality. Meaning there's two or more rhythms that happen at the same time that you're physically exemplifying in the dance context. So that's why I'm saying Oops does not have a ton of polyrhythmic intention outside of covering routines. I understand why people don't respect the leader. I get it. But they have a really good skill set that helps them, that helped Miss Leader take the leader thing, So we can't ignore that, but also it's will Oops survive? I don't know. I can't tell you that long term because we've got a lot of battles and a lot of choreography missions coming in. This is really one of the only times where their skill sets are really going to be utilized well. Maybe the artist challenge, but they still have to choreograph, right? So that's why I'm very intrigued on Oops moving forward in the competition because we're not going to be having as many opportunities for them to flex that skill set as often as SS Warriors can with battles and as F.E.D can with a choreo, So that's so interesting, right? Bang. They go from high, mid, low. So that's fine. It's basic format like that. I like the idea of that, but it did feel incomplete. Little jump rope was fine, but it felt like we were kicking our feet, which could be the intention of it, but it didn't. It felt like here's the movement, but not well done, I think is my point. Then we hit that down, ding, we pop right back up. It wasn't the crispest on that. And she's also staying in the same spot. She's not traveling it around anywhere. She's not moving up, going back. She's kind of hanging out right here. So that's another indicator. How would we transition our movement? Can she transition the movement? I don't know. That would be the kind of stuff to look at. I like the marshmallow, right? But then she continued to do it on a basic syncopate. She didn't really syncopate it. And I think that could have really helped marry this choice over. That tastes so sweet. That's fine with the brush over. That was cute. Marshmallow, right? Boom, boom. I like the phrase there. Looks good. And she goes to the other side. I think because she hit this boom, boom, then she hit another timbre on the other side. That's why it worked on the first side and not the second. If it was the same thing on both sides, it makes sense. But because of the different sound, it didn't match. Even though she was hitting it the exact same way, it felt like we were questioning our musicality choice is what it felt like. That part, boom, doom, doom, we've already kind of explored that already. I think it's for me, I'm definitely an advocate. Explore all your layers in interesting ways. And I feel like we've already kind of hit that one. It's a very obvious layer and we're hitting it to ignore the tone. It kind of feels like that. And then she goes and sits down. Okay, next step. So the theory of it, I like the idea of this. I think there's a couple sections that feel muted by how she's doing it, but I like the idea a lot. I do feel like we kind of were just waiting around for the next phrase to start here, but at least she put in the effort to recognize this part of the track. It definitely gives that RPG character where they're waiting to be selected. It kind of feels like that, which is in line similarly to this song reminds me of like a video game soundtrack, right? That with a drop, it's fine. Like this is cute. I love that. Love that. But she's taking a very lyrical approach. Not like lyrical the style, but that she's writing heavier on the lyrics than ignoring some of the other stuff. So that's my note there. I wish it was polyrhythmic, where we're hitting other sounds, but we're still recognizing the lyrics too. Like that little situation. And that right there, we go in, boom, ding, and ding. Her flow into these is really nice too. I like that. And it goes da-da-da-da-da-da. I like that. And hits front to back, which is nice. The turn. Marsh. That's nice. Marshmallow, right? So I like how it's sitting from side. But we're keeping it very centered as well. We're not really like moving it forward as much, or we're not providing opportunity for transitions. That's a big thing. Because I feel if we're doing, this is a big thing I've talked about in K-pop choreo. Ooh, I've talked about it a couple of times. I will tear into a choreography if there is too much unison in a group, because there's no need for a unison that extends longer than 2 8 counts. Honestly, an 8 count and a half in the K-pop choreo of nowadays, because even your concepts don't call for that, with the exception, the only exception of the whole point is to showcase your uniformity and synchronicity. But most concepts don't call for that. So it's just a big thing that I've had to tackle in the K-pop sense of things. And it's not really that big. I just noticed it a couple times, and I really go in when I see it because it feels lazy to me. That you're not going to take the time to troubleshoot how to get somebody featured in an interesting way, and you're not even going to add a level to provide some depth to this. You're just giving them content and walking away is what it feels like. It feels incomplete to me. So here in this sense, I'm not saying that's what this feels like at all. I'm saying though that if I see movement or choreo that doesn't move at all or travel at all, to me, I feel like, are we going to be staying in the same spot doing this the whole time? And if that's the case, that may heed caution for myself, because we need to have levels. You need to have interesting staging. You need to have formation changes. You got to have dynamics in play in order to keep the captivation onto your audience. You know, you don't want to go too basic on that. And the camera can be helpful, but you shouldn't be dependent on it, you know, and we unfortunately saw that with the leader video to a certain extent. But with the switch on there, with the switch on the marshmallow, they have some big marshmallows. How big are the marshmallows in Vietnam? Because we're looking at like right here. We're like pulling it here at least, but like she's eating a whole freaking marshmallow that's probably bigger than my head. Like that's cool, but in Vietnam are marshmallows that big though? That tastes so sweet with a brush is fine. Mellow. Even there, like that's a really cool opportunity to transition, but if she got picked as main dancer, if we picked her choreo and she locked it in, would she transition that? I don't know, you know? So that's what I find interesting in all of this. So the turn was fine, boom. Mellow. And even there, all of it's in place. It's not, this stuff right here, it's giving like a Cabbage Patch Reebok format, but we're not traveling it. I think that's my biggest qualm with this. Yeah. Tastes so sweet. So we have a lot of these choices, but like some of her flow is really nice. With the hips was cute. Mellow rhyme, marsh, chest, and we go rotate it around and then pull, and then we dig it in. And then they do, now this move is called the stupid. I'm not saying it's stupid, that's just what it's called. So it's interesting that she used it at the tail and the bookend. So it feels like she didn't really technically choreograph all of it, because she's just doing whatever she wants at the end, like a little freestyle moment, just like in the beginning. But everybody else, I feel like they choreographed all of it. So that could be another thing that could be a reason why I wasn't selected. I don't know. But it's all in all, like I like the vibe of this one. I just think we needed more staging transitions. Like she needed to show that some of the movements actually moved and they didn't feel stuck. It felt stuck, I think is my note. And then that ending right there reminded me of like a character is ready to be selected for a video game, and we were here for it. Okay, with this one, it's simpler, but I'm going to tell you what. Because of how she tone set her choreography, it justified the simplistic choices. Let me explain. She took it a very like, I'm a robot toy that's come to life, very youthful. I love it with the switch on there. She goes and she resets it around. I like the head on that. Boom. And then she's like, she's taking an item. It's like she's building something almost. And she goes, I like how she drops, she resets. Very animated. She's definitely animation. I would say she's more of an animator than she is a popper. I know it's a bold statement. I feel she's more of an animator. They are different styles. So that's why I use the term boogaloo, the boogaloo umbrella, because some people are like, just that's a style. Yes, it technically is, but boogaloo's been around longer than all of them. And if you use the umbrella term popping, like people do, you're exposing, you have the chance of doing history erasure of styles that existed before popping did. Does that make sense? Normally you use an umbrella term when it encompasses like, this is your parent, and then everything else underneath it came after, is what happens, right? So that's kind of like, that's like the thing. So I'm very intrigued on the conversations, but I come at it. This is not me who's saying this. This is Castro from the popping community in New York, and Castro's in the same vein as Pop and Pete in the sense of like what their thoughts are. And Pop and Pete's an OG. Do you know what I'm saying? In popping. And he's saying popping is not the umbrella term to go with. And so the question is, what do we go with? Back then, I wasn't alive. And so it's the term of like, okay, they would say, this is just from those that've lived it, they've said, you know, hey, they're boogalooing, you know. Now, of course, we're open for discussions on this, but that's where I come from. All that to say, when I say she's boogalooing, she's not boogalooing, not the style, but boogalooing the concept of dance. And her itemized styles are popping and animation, but more animation than anything. And this is a prime example of that, is all that to say. I love that. And I love that and how she resets. All that was super cute. So she hits in, bounce, bounce. She hits it back. So it feels like the robots come to life, but the format in which she hits all of it feels like, simple but tasteful was kind of the go-to for this. And she took that approach. But her movement quality is more complex. Does that make sense? Yeah, like that's really cute. Swinging it through. Now that part, I don't know why we made that choice. That felt very TikTok in nature, where it's like, throw in a TikTok move is what that felt like. So we got a little hip accent, that dun dun, and then she tripled it, dun, with a sweep around. It does dun dun dun. So like that's fine, I think. Ba, ba, ba. Like it matches how she says it, so that makes sense. I'm just not used to seeing this interruption of in that way. It's fun. I learned something. Nice. Bong. Yeah. Bum, bum, bing, bong, bang. Because she already crossed it right here, this part doesn't feel as different, but it is a different introduction and more rotational. So like that, I understand. We like. And she ends up doing it 3 times, but from here, I like how she uses it to transition to the next phrase. And then ba-da-da-da-da-da. Her chorus I like. I think the verse could be a bit beefier in terms of like some more complex choices, not really repeating or like hitting the basic flow. But here, I don't mind how she's hitting it. The marsh with a tap, marshmallow ride, and she drives it in, which is nice. Marsh, and then she hits it around. That right there matches, and it hits. It's an here it is. It's an animated tone. So like the track, like the vocalist herself has a like robotic based synth harmony going on in her voice. So how she's hitting it is very robotic in nature that ties into that part of the tone. And so that's why we have that mellow ride that matches that mellow ride manipulation in the production of the track with her voice that makes that work. And it ties into her very beginning, which is why I didn't mind the simplistic choice there. That's cool. Yeah, marsh, mellow ride, all that tastes so sweet, and then she comes up. The hips are really cute, so she does something subtle, and then she drops it lower. So it goes marsh, dip. Like, that's fun. Marsh, mellow ride. It feels like we're making a figure 8, like we're going on like a racetrack or something. Then she takes the arms. Marsh, mellow ride. Like, that flow is sick. That was a really dope section right here. So I think her chorus is cool. Her verse could have had more complexity, not in texture, but in content. And I think this would have been, I would have voted for this. Yeah, that marsh, so I like the swing on that, or like taking in the pickup is fun. Boom, I like that with the drop. Yeah, and then go in with a cha, nah, man, and she goes and she explodes it. So it's cute. I still like Groovy's. I hope she was shortlisted at least. That was really fun. I liked it. And this was so fascinating that we got to look at all of them in one big video. That was cool. I think, yeah, I wasn't expecting that. I was just expecting just the leaders, I think, whenever I was watching. But I liked this, and I'm glad that I was able to throw myself in the mix too and be able to attend and give the same degree of critique or feedback to my own work, so you guys know that I really am not coming from the place of I know all. Oh, no. I'm just somebody that really loves movement quality. I love seeing it in styles culturally and seeing how they're hybrid in tracks and in different cultures. And I just like to be able to kind of showcase maybe the reason why maybe you feel the same way I do, and I'm trying to articulate it in a way that maybe it'll help you understand why it may make you feel that way. It's kind of like that. And also, I'm not super sold on my own thought processes either. This is very open-handed, because even on a lot of the camera shots we were given, it's not the best shot. I wanted the front shot and we got a corner. So a lot of that could also be modified off of that as well. There's all this stress involved. There's all the turnaround time. We don't know the depths of all the things going on before the rough drafts took place. We're only given what they tell us. And so I think everybody did a great job on what they needed to do to present themselves in their rough drafts. Now, out of all the ones that I've seen, what would I vote for each? I think for the leader, I would have picked So Fire for sure. I think for the sub leader, I would have picked Ko's or Bong Play Bongs. But Bong Play Bongs, I would have needed to have a conversation with her about the posture of it. But I loved her format. I think her format of her choreo is probably my favorite out of everybody's. When it comes to the middle, I understand So Fire. I recognize that. Ingjong, I recognize. And the others, I think, were fine. I think with Rookie, I liked Groovy's course. For Gina, I liked her course choreo as well. And with Minga, I think if she was more refined, I would have voted for her if I was there in the space. But I like Minga's choreo too. You know, like, that's just so interesting. God, this is such a fun thing to kind of talk through and think through. But yeah, this was really fun. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like I have mentioned, I am actively watching Street Woman Fighter Vietnam, but I have streamed Street Man Fighter, Be Ambitious, Street Woman Fighter Season 1 and Season 2, and Street Dance Girl Fighter Season 1 and Season 2, respectively, which is a lot of Street Fighter franchise, a lot of time sitting in the chair looking at it, and I did watch all of those recently, meaning like over the past year. So I don't have years of space between all the things I'm talking about and what I'm referencing. I watched Street Woman Fighter Season 2 in real time, just like I'm watching Vietnam here. But I get to watch the full episodes on this one, which makes it really, really fun. And I'm so intrigued on the conversations that we're going to have. I do know I have some people that have wanted to do translations for their own respective countries. I am very honored by the fact that you guys want me to be just a commentator that is expressed in multiple facets outside of just here. All I ask is that you leave my commentary uncut if it pertains to a particular section and we don't splice it, because just like I don't like it whenever the broadcast companies splice and make their own agenda. I don't want that to happen to my own commentary, which is why I leave it as uncut as possible on my own videos. So you guys know me, I know you. I'm Jess, and I will catch you on the flip side. Bye.